We are joined down the hall in TV Studio A by the amazingly talented, originally from Kansas City, Krystle Warren, with our own Jon Hart. Again, right here on the bridge.
You know, when artists come in, we're always so grateful because they've usually have had a long haul. They've come all the way from St. Louis. Sometimes it's even farther. It might be coming in all the way from Indianapolis or whatever. But Krystle Warren joins us today, and she came in all the way from Paris. I think that you win the prize for longest commute.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. Appreciate
Thank you for
it.
having me.
This is such a joy. Kansas City born, Paris-based songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and vocalist. Brand new record, 3 the Hard Way. I was complimenting you on this earlier. It's a beautiful, beautiful record. You have to be really proud.
I am very, very proud and very appreciative that you dig it. So thanks for that.
It's been 5 years.
Mm.
You were just,
What was going on in that time?
well, just storing it up, or
3 the Hard Way really came out of nowhere. I didn't see this particular record being what would follow up Love Songs, which was something completely from left field, I think, if we compare the two. Love Songs being a double album celebrating that 4-letter word, and then suddenly, 3 the Hard Way being this very politically charged recording. And a lot of it has to do with my partner in crime in that recording, Mr. Ben Kane, who really took helm of the ship and sent us in that direction.
you know, we'll get around to talking about this a little bit later on, but you also have the Moon June project, which is almost happening simultaneously.
Yes. Not my decision, but it's been quite a lot juggling both, but we're making it work thus far.
So, you know, I wanted to just sort of step back and do just a tiny little bit of history to set up the new record. You know, your 2009 record, Circles, was about longing and loss, among other things. And after you finished that record, you extricated yourself from your label, you know, fought your way free and clear. This is a story we've heard before from artists. And then you mentioned Love Songs, which you did independently, but that was really obviously a love record. And so, you know, longing and loss and love are sort of in the same general area a lot of times. And so this project does seem like it's such a departure for a couple of reasons. First of all, we're going from love over to sort of different subject matter. And then also those first 2 records, even though one was a label and one was independent, they both had like 20 plus musicians on each one of those records. They were just a lot of folks in there. This one's really stripped down.
Yes. After the recording of Love Songs, which featured 27 musicians, all performing live, I felt like that lady in the commercial who says, "Calgon, take me away." You know, it was really overwhelming. And so, yeah, when production had wrapped with Love Songs, I knew that I wanted to do something that would end up just being me. And I was toying around with the idea of, well, what if I played all the instruments, you know? So that difference there was definitely on purpose, to just see what I'd be able to do on my own.
You have invoked the first McCartney record as being an inspiration.
Yes. McCartney is God. A left-handed God. Yeah, that first solo album of his is hands down my favorite, and you know, the treat of Ram right after. Of course, that one's stunning as well. But there's something about that first one where it's very vulnerable, it's very direct. It's not, you know, you're not listening to it and thinking, oh, that's an amazing drum fill that just happened. You're focused on the song, because when you strip everything away, it's just the song that should be grabbing your attention, you know.
So the new record, the themes sort of alluded to it being a different world, and so the persistence of injustice in our world.
That's part of it. Sure, I think that's a thread that weaves in and out where we are politically, and not just where we are specifically in the States. I mean, all over the world, there's a lot of turmoil going on. But yeah, then we also move into socioeconomics, and we discuss religion. You know, it's all kind of laid out there.
You know, you mentioned religion. I mean, that to me, it's sort of like that's maybe the most interesting thing about this record. You grew up in a Southern Baptist environment, and you know, you've done a fair amount of sort of running away from that, and you've made a gospel record.
Mm-hmm.
I love irony.
Yeah. Again, I have to tip my hat to Ben Kane, who has been a dear friend of mine, former roommate, glitter twin for the past 13, 14 years. And he had heard a demo of mine of the song Thanks and Praise. And he said, do you think that you could write some more stuff like that for the next record? Something that's kind of that gospel place? And I was thinking, no, I can't actually, but I'll try. And so I started revisiting a lot of the music that I heard as a kid, you know, and shocked myself of adopting that language. So yeah, that's still the response. You know?
Yeah.
Who'd have thunk it?
So you actually went back and played some of those old records to sort of re-inform yourself.
Yeah. There was Mahalia Jackson, you know, Shaking the Walls, and the Swan Silvertones, and anything and everything. I was also revisiting the field recordings of Alan Lomax, and wow, a lot of blues as well. I'm always listening to Howlin' Wolf and things of that sort at home, but I started digging for the more obscure, very much of that Robert Johnson ilk, where it's scratchy and old and, you know, plaintive to the point. And suddenly I was like, yeah, I think I'm ready to make a record that essentially is going to celebrate black music. Why not? You know?
Well, it's absolutely lovely. 3 The Hard Way is the new album. It's the first in 5 years for Krystle Warren, and we would love to hear some music if we could.
Yes. When it goes tits up and cars are abandoned, scattered on highways, doors are wide open. The swell of the ocean abstains from the shore and keeps pulling back, exposing the body. Oh, everything. Everything will be. Oh, now it's peaches, peaches and cream. It's just the way it's been told to be. People rising, fall in pieces, but that's the price. price for being free. The finger on the trigger can't see the future, always pulls back towards the past and threatens to seize my constitution. So when it goes tits up and cars are abandoned, scattered on highways, doors are wide open. Oh, everything will be.
That was really lovely. One of my favorites off the record.
Thank you.
Really like that a lot. Krystle Warren, our guest. You can find out more at krystlewarren.com. And in fact, you can get the new album, 3 the Hard Way, at that website. Have you always been brave?
Wow.
It just seems like, looking back to those early days, you made a lot of brave choices.
Well, you might say brave. I would hear the question actually is, have you always been stupid? You know, they're definitely. Well, yeah. So, yes, I've always been stupid and brave. I've always been someone who's thought, well, it can't be that much worse, you know, like we've got to take a chance. We've got to see what happens. So, yeah.
So you went to the Academy of Fine and Performing Arts, the Paseo Academy, and emancipated yourself at 15. When did you start playing around in the Kansas City jazz scene? How old were you?
I believe I was about 19 or 20. A fellow Paseo pirate, Solomon Dorsey, who is probably somewhere, probably a beach, drinking a delicious daiquiri. He was playing at the New Point Grill with David Bassie and Greg Richter. And as he usually did and still does a bit, he goes, "You should listen to my friend Krystle." So, you know, suddenly I had a rose in my mouth and an iridescent gown and laying across the piano, crooning my little heart out.
So, you know, it wasn't too much after that, early 20s. You just went to New York City with $400 in your pocket. That's brave.
Doesn't that sound stupid?
Well,
you know,
I'm just saying brave.
Okay.
I'll take it there.
Yeah, it was, man, it was an amazing time, actually, now that I'm out of it, you know.
Yeah.
It was a lot, but I'm so happy I had that experience. In total, I was in New York for about 5 years. Actually, you mentioned the $400. My first kind of paid gig once I got to the city was competing against Gender Illusionist. I used to say drag queen. I was taught, no, it's Gender Illusionist. And so every Sunday, to win $75, you know, I'd wait and see all of these lovely ladies go on stage and perform, and then Shaboom Boom, who emceed the evening, should go, and now we're going to have Krystle Warren. And I'd come up there with the torn, you know, Pink Floyd T-shirt and playing my little tunes, and at the end, I'd get the applause, you know, yes, girl, yes. So I'd pocket that $75, and for several months that was That was my bread and butter.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a great story.
It was fun, you know? So
Yeah. So when did you start busking?
I started busking before getting that paid gig at the Slide. Solomon and I and Zach Janikian, we would post up in Union Square and play above the subway.
So after New York, you know that you were building yourself. You ended up going to Paris, ostensibly to do promotion, and the record label bought you. You know, $400 going to New York is kind of a one-way ticket.
Sure.
You get another one-way ticket to Paris.
Yes.
And that worked out okay.
Yeah, in the end, I was 2 years into that arrangement and was so homesick, just ready to come right back. I wasn't certain if I was going to head over to San Francisco or back to KC. I was leaning towards KC, and then I ended up meeting my better half, and we got married. So it worked out.
So when you met her, your Kansas City came out. You wooed her with barbecue.
Yes. I invited her to come to this party that I was throwing at my flat, which was a non-existent party. It was, once she said, "Yeah, I'd like to come," that's when I started inviting people to come to my place on that particular day at that particular time, and I grilled using my ration of Gates sauce that I keep, and yeah, the rest is history. Gates goes a long way, Gates is the new Rose,
Yeah.
the new ticket to the opera.
Yeah. Well, it's funny how if you really love barbecue, it is that thing, right? I mean, not that I hopefully will ever have this tested, but if I'm ever, accused of a capital crime and have to pick my last meal, I know where it's coming from.
Exactly. I also know, yeah, if I were in that situation, I would do the same. But also when the apocalypse comes rolling in, my bunker is going to be filled with the spicy, the mild, the original, for variety when you're underground.
Yeah, the only question that I really have is short end or burn ends. And for me, that's the question for the ages. That's one to go and ask the Sphinx.
Truly. I'm with you on that.
I
Where
know,
have you
right?
been all my life? Yeah.
It's I think that you probably have that effect on a lot of people, though.
When we start talking about barbecue.
Well, just the first time I met you, I thought, okay, all right, I could spend time with this person. And I think that I don't know if it's your artistic nature or what, but I think that's who you are.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you for that.
The problem that you've got now isn't that you're always not at home because you're always at home in a different place. It's like you have two homes that you love. I don't know if it's equally, but you love them both a lot.
Equally. Yeah. It's tough for sure. I come to this home and it's never really long enough. But I do like the feeling of missing it too. That's nice because then I can think about the people here and the experiences. It's nice.
Back to the record and sort of the political nature of some of it. Living in Paris, you've said that you're afforded a different view of America.
You'd like me to kind of expound on that?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's away from the political parties and the...
Yes. Specifically, when I think of the news coverage through television there and their coverage of the States, there's nothing partisan about it. It's just this is what's happening. And they're pretty much the same when it comes to their own politics. When there's campaigning going on there for the presidency, it's not, the populace being subjected to expensive commercials basically banging one opponent, really opponent, over the head. We're so sports obsessed here that even our politics are about teams, you know? And it's just not the case there. So, yeah, I suppose while having this distance from what's been going on here, I actually feel closer to what's going on here, because I think I understand it a bit more than I ever have. And, well, it's frightening. It's very, very frightening. These are frightening times.
Krystle Warren is our guest. The new record is 3 the Hard Way. We'd love to hear another song if we could.
Been some time since I said to thee how I love you, how I'm grateful. Here I am, I've come to praise thee for your certainty where I was doubtful. Oh, you in this rising world of water, so heavy, so dark, so deep, comfort is found in when you mean to me. I was lost, I was wandering, came so far to be all alone. You found me, you tell me it's gonna be alright. Took me in your arms where I found home. Yes, I found home in this rising world of water, so heavy, dark and deep. Comfort is found in when you mean to me, to me. Bless this little lamb now at your feet. Oh, oh, oh. In a world so dark and deep, comfort is found in what you mean to me. I goofed that one, but that's okay. Do 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 do. Bye. something like that. Yeah.
That's great. That's the song that you sort of picked to lead the promotion of the album
Yes.
with.
Yeah.
I imagine your mom was really happy about that one.
Yeah. I think that most of my family feels that their prayers have finally been answered after all this time. You know, they can take a break and rest those knees. So, yeah.
Isn't that funny? You grew up around a lot of women.
Yes. Yes. Very strong women. My mother is the 10th of 11, and there were only 2 boys born, you know, out of the 11. So, yeah, they're very strong, powerful, inspiring women. Yeah.
I'm going to get back to that in just a minute, but I want to cover a couple of other things real quickly. You know, you've had a couple of really amazing people say really amazing things about you.
I pay them very well.
You know, I don't know that they would do it. I don't know that you have that much money.
Well, hey, I'm losing it every day paying off these people. Come on.
Rufus Wainwright, his quote, "Formidable, one of the greatest living singers at the moment."
That was nice of him.
Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
You really should give her a listen. You won't believe what you're hearing. She's amazing. That was Katie Lang. These are both people who know their way around music that matters, right? That's got to be. You actually had a chance to sing with Rufus and tour with him as well.
Yes. So I'd been involved in a kind of traveling circus that was paying tribute to Nick Drake, and the producer of that tour, Joe Boyd, approached me sometime after about doing a tribute for Kate McGarrigle, Rufus's late mother. And you know, Joe had produced quite a few of the McGarrigle sisters' records, and so yeah, when he invited me on, I said I'd love to, and actually there was some trepidation from the Wainwrights and the McGarrigles about me being involved. They're like, "Yeah, who's that? Who's Krystle Warren? And does she have any gates?" And so I showed up in London, and we're about to rehearse the song "I Don't Know" from Kate, and there's Emmylou Harris, there's Nick Cave.
Pressure.
Yeah,
No.
I went right back out. You know, I walked in and just went right back out, and Joe came out and said, "What's the issue?" I was like, "What are they doing in there?" You know, and he said, "Oh, I didn't think that would bother you. Do you want me to, you know, have them leave?" And it's like, come on, you know, no, you don't have to do that. That's gonna make me look like an idiot. So I just came in and I sang with my back to them all, and Rufus was in there too. So I rehearsed through the tune, and I turn around and Rufus is gone, and my heart just sinks. It's like, oh, he must have hated it. You know, I don't get the gig. You know, that's what I'm thinking in my head. And his brother-in-law said to me, "You know, that was really beautiful. Yeah, your rendition of Kate's tune. You made Rufus cry." And then I was like, "Excuse me, I gotta go." I went to the hotel and just wept. You know, like,
Yeah.
my hero being moved by what I do. I mean, that was...
Because you loved his records.
I'm obsessed with that man. Yeah, he's absolutely incredible. Yeah.
So was it and I'm just fishing here, I don't know, but it seems like there's like at least a little bit of cross-pollination between Rufus's camp and the people in June Moon. Is that how you made that connection? Or
Well, actually, no. I have
isn't
to
that
give it a thought.
interesting? Yeah.
Yeah, it's when June Moon, which is Julien Descartes and Raphaël Chanson, when they reached out about me kind of filling in the blanks with lyrics and you know, a few ideas here and there, it was really our backgrounds being fused into what is now their bio. You know, with June Moon, their strongest ties are with Nouvelle Vague and they've both been involved with various other projects and artists, and so when I got kind of lumped in, it was like, well, what's the baggage that Krystle's bringing into this? But well, actually, no, there's more in common than that. They're also obsessed with Rufus, so that's the short answer. We're all obsessed with Rufus.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's the tie.
I was really. It's been hard to dig up much about June Moon. There's not a lot out there, and so I was really glad to hear that. Like, I didn't even have songwriting credits, so like I was really pleased to hear that you were writing the lyrics and
just trying to keep up with those guys.
You're going to be touring with them here.
Yes.
Just a few select dates in the States.
Exactly.
Nothing in
on
the
Midwest.
Coast.
Yeah.
So
Not
they're
yet.
counting on you to bring the gates.
They've had it at home. They stop by and I grill, and they know what's up. I think they're actually very bummed that they won't be coming through town.
Yeah. Well, next time.
Next time.
So the name of the June Moon record is Moonshine Corner, but back to Three the Hard Way, and back to your mother. She grew up in a little town called Spencer, Oklahoma. That's kind of near Oklahoma City, hour and a half away from Tulsa, and you came across a story, and I'm not sure how you came across it. But almost like a forgotten moment in history. The massacre of Black Wall Street.
Yeah, when you had said, I'm not really sure how you came across that, I started thinking, how did I learn about it? And I don't know. It's one of those things that once you're informed, that kind of takes over everything.
Right. It sort of came a little bit back into public scrutiny when an account of the massacre was discovered and donated to a Black History Museum, I believe, in Tulsa. And there was an article written about it in Smithsonian, and that was just a handful of years ago. So that might have been the thing that triggered it.
Well, I feel like when it first got into my head, maybe it was 5 years ago. I mean, it's hard to put a number on it, but it's really the sort of thing of, once you're aware of it, you just wonder, well, why isn't this something that's known by all of us? That it's a part of our history. I believe it was maybe CBS 60 Minutes back in 92, 93 that had done a piece on it, and my mother remembers seeing that piece. But yeah, so I guess to get to how I ended up writing about it, I'd mentioned I'd been listening to a lot of work song and things of that sort, and I wanted to explore that sort of sound on the album. And immediately it was, I need to write about that. That's what's going to fit with these chords. And yeah, it just kind of slowly came together that way.
You can't really do this story justice in just like quick little short blurbs, but 1921 Tulsa, there were a group of African Americans that were living on what was thought to be worthless land. Oil was discovered on the land, and suddenly they were middle class. Mm-hmm. And it appears as though the struggle was really about poor whites not knowing how to deal with the fact that there were affluent African Americans. And what ended up happening was private planes essentially dropped firebombs on the community and took it to the ground. Not only were 300 people killed, but also, at least for a time, up to 6,000 people were incarcerated. And essentially for having money. So how this doesn't make the history books, but there it is. So your song is called Red Clay.
Yes. And since Red Clay made its debut earlier this year, it's interesting. Some of the feedback that I have been receiving on social media, mostly from Tulsans, who are very upset that I'm saying that their soil is clay.
Of all the things,
Of all
to be
things.
upset
Of
about.
all things. So that's been interesting, actually,
Yeah.
having that feedback. There you have it. So
Yeah.
would you like me to play you Red Clay?
That would be fabulous. Krystle Warren today on the bridge.
How many souls? How many souls? How many souls did they leave on the ground face down in the wet red clay? In the wet red clay. Three to a grave, three to a grave. Three to four men stacked in the jagged box, 4 to 1 and the wet red clay. In the wet red clay. Heavenly Father, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Father, look what they do to me. The devil inside, the devil inside, the devil inside without a sheet, took aim, shot every soul on the street, and it took to the sky, lowered bombs to defeat the innocence of Greenwood streets, made it fall to the ground on an evening in May, in the wet red clay, in the wet red clay, in the wet red clay.
That's just great work. Spectacular. Krystle Warren. And you can find out more at krystlewarren.com, which is also where you go to get Three the Hard Way, which is features all the songs that we've heard today on the bridge, that one being Red Clay. You know, it always, everything that I looked at was just gave me that sense that, you know, the music business, a lot of times what gets put out there is product. And you have fought that and fought that and fought that because you have an artistic sensibility. And those two things don't go away. You know, you're not product. And so thank you for fighting that fight.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, look, it's not always easy. It's not always fun, right? But it's worth it. So.
Well, it means more than you can imagine hearing that, though. So truly, thank you.
So, Krystle Warren, I know you're just here for family. It's awfully nice of you to take the time out to come and spend time with us today. Hopefully, next time you come through, we'll get a show.
I would love to.
Whether it's you, June Moon, we'll
yeah,
you know,
or me, juggling cats. You know, I'm up for anything.
Yeah, we know you have juggled cats, even recently.
Yeah.
So, Krystle Warren, our guest again, the new album, 3, The Hard Way, and also the album with June Moon, Moonshine Corner. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.